Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about Ori Hofmekler's book, The Warrior Diet. I'm fairly certain that I got the author's name correct, but just in case, I apologize if I did mispronounce it. I do that actually more often than I would like to admit. But this is got to be the most fascinating diet book I have ever listened to. It's not close to what I expected it to be. Now, the Warrior Diet is a diet that I had heard of time and time again through podcasts, through other books. My perception prior to the book was that the Warrior Diet just means that you do a water fast all day long until dinner time, and then you pig out come dinner time, and then you water fast to the next dinner time, and you eat once a day. That's not this book. That's not the Warrior Diet. You can follow the Warrior Diet in that fashion. One of the things I like about this book is the author mentions quite often, hey, this is what I believe. But if you believe differently, then modify it to fit what you believe. Because there were parts of the book, and they were few and far between, but there were parts of the book where when I disagree with the author on that. I would not want to follow it that way. I would want to follow it my way. Now, those parts were, I think there were only 2 parts in the book, and they were very small parts where I disagreed with the author. Most common thing you will hear in this book is, the experts say this, but I believe. He doesn't present a lot of studies on why he believes what he does from scientific standpoint. Instead, most of why he believes what he does is based on ancient warrior cultures like the Spartans and the Romans. In the foreword of the book, the foreword of the book is talking about some political cartoonists that someone really likes. And so when I first started listening to it and they had that foreword talking about a political cartoonist, I was like, why would I want to listen to a diet book from a political cartoon? What does a political cartoonist know about diet? Excuse me, that makes no sense. So I Googled the author. I didn't find anything when I Googled him about him being a political cartoonist. So I have no clue what that foreword is. I'm thinking maybe that foreword was supposed to be to a different book and somehow got attached to this book, because it had nothing to do with the book at all. The author served in the military. He's Israeli, so I'm assuming he served in the Israeli military. He's developed his warrior diet based on his military experience and based on his study of ancient hunter and warrior societies. He really feels like modern man and modern woman we've lost not just a step, we've lost a part of ourselves. We've lost that connection with our warrior self. And because we've lost that connection with our warrior self, we've lost our connection with romance. We've lost our connection with our sexual drive. His belief is that how we eat affects every aspect of our lives. We can't be as spiritual as we could be if we ate correctly, not as romantic as we could be. I mean, all these different, and it really makes sense. Food pervades our society. Food pervades our life. Name one get-together where food doesn't play a major part in the get-together. That I can't think of one. Even if it's like you're Muslim and Ramadan, that may be a major holiday for you, but food still plays a major part. You water and food fast during the day, and then you feast at night. That's food playing a major part in your diet. So food pervades every aspect of our lives, and it really makes sense that how we eat would affect that. He's got a really great chapter. One of my favorite chapters in the book is on satiety. He goes through in a chapter and he compares his diet to other diets and what he thinks is wrong with his diet and how his diet addresses what is wrong. Major problem he has with most diets is the fact that they constrict you so much. High protein, low carb, low fat, all you can eat is protein. I tried that. That gets really old. I mean, when you first about, I'm going to eat steak, it gets old really fast. The chocolate diet would get old really, really fast. We need variety. And he has this chapter on satiety and how to design a meal that truly satisfies you and leaves you feeling satiated. And he addresses the importance of color. He addresses the importance of texture. He addresses the importance of temperature on your food. All of these different aspects that I've never heard addressed before. And it just makes so much sense. You're sitting there going, wow, that actually makes sense. I want to try to design my meal that way. And he talks about how becoming a modern day warrior doesn't mean you're going to go out and join the military and go off to war. Doesn't mean that at all, but to reconnect with your warrior self, to reconnect with your hunter self, you don't have to become a hunter. What hunters do and what warriors did, and he makes this very, very clear in the chapters where he talks about Spartan society, he talks about Roman society, and he goes through and he really dissects their viewpoint on food and the importance their food played. And nothing else I've ever read about these societies has brought out how critical their food was to their beliefs and to who they were. The importance, not just the importance of food, but the importance of certain foods versus other foods. And it makes it very clear that they didn't just eat whatever they could get their hands on. They ate specific foods for specific purposes. And the point of the book is, if you want to reconnect with that true inner, ancient self, then instead of just going into the store or going to the fast food restaurant, instead of just grabbing whatever is handy and tastes good, then you need to design your meals. You need to make the time to make your food important. That's how you go from being a hunter. He talks about like big cats and what big cats will eat, what they won't eat, what hunters will eat, what they won't eat, versus vultures who will eat anything. And basically, if you're willing to go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac because it's convenient and you're late to work, so you got to get something, or you're late home or whatever, you're a vulture. And you're not going to connect with your inner warrior. You're not going to connect with your inner hunter. You're not going to connect with the ancient you, the vital you, being a vulture. Instead, you're going to get fat, you're going to get unhealthy, you're going to lose your sex drive, you're just going to become a blob, which is how most people nowadays feel. Now, I've only been following the diet for about a week, but I can tell you, I am loving the freedom of this diet. He talks about in the book that feeling free is vital and is important. And even though I'm designing the meals, I'm designing them to be enjoyable. I'm designing them to be satisfying. And I'm not constrained by, hey, I can't have any carbs. Hey, I can't have any fat. Hey, I can't have, there are foods that I do have and there are foods that I don't have. But I'm able to take and design an entire meal. So when I'm having the meal, I have some foods that are raw. I have some foods that are cooked. I get sweet. I get savory. I get different textures, creamy, crunchy, all the things that really, really satisfy. And he does talk about how some foods need to be cooked. I'll give an example. Broccoli. I've eaten broccoli raw before. I did not eat it raw because I like the taste of raw. I love cooked broccoli. Cooked broccoli is one of my favorite vegetables. Raw broccoli, but there are so many books and so many experts who talk about the importance of eating raw whole foods that I would force myself to choke down raw broccoli. Well, that's one of the foods he takes and he breaks down, and he basically shows you that if you're eating it raw, you might as well be eating cardboard because your body's not able to digest it and get anything out of it. It's a food that needs to be cooked. And there's foods that he goes through that this should be eaten raw, this should be eaten cooked. If you really want to get the nutrients out of this, you need to cook it. So there is, in the beginning of the book, he goes through this long opening monologue about how it's going to be different, and all the experts are going to hate him and turn on him and all this other blah, 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 blah stuff. But it really does. There's a lot of the book that does differ from other books. That's why I said it's one of the most fascinating diet books that I've ever listened to. He gets into a lot of his personal philosophy. There's parts of the book that almost reminded me of some of Joe DeSantis' Spartan books, because he gets into his personal philosophy, on reconnecting with your spirituality, reconnecting, with your romance, your sex drive, different stuff like that, how we raise our kids, different things like that you don't typically get in diet books. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, send it my way. If you've been following the Warrior Diet and you just clicked on this because you were curious to see what I had to say about it, please send me a comment. Let me know what your experience has been. Because like I said, I've only been doing this for like a week. And while I feel great, actually really it's the first diet I've ever been on that I'm really enjoying, I'd be curious to hear from someone who's been doing this for longer than a week. If you like my channel, subscribe, turn on notifications. But most importantly, make sure that no matter what else you do, today you spend time listening to at least one really good book. Thank you.